Hello everyone, welcome in. Today is going to be a food tutorial. So it's a cooking tutorial, but it's also a tutorial on food because to be a great cook on the server, you also have to understand how food works. So if you're new to the game, you're thinking of going into cooking, hopefully this tutorial will be able to help you understand a little bit about how to keep all your hungry ecoites and fellow citizens' bellies full. So when you first drop into the game, you are probably going to be eating some raw vegetables. It is worth noting that they have a certain distribution of the 4 different nutrients. So down in the bottom left-hand corner here, you can see that there are the nutrients, right? So you have vitamins, which is green, you have fat, which is yellow, you have the protein, which is orange, and you have carbs, which is red. So as much as possible with the raw stuff, you're going to want to try and balance it. So I like camas because camas is really, really high in fat right off the bat, and it has a decent amount of protein and then a little bit of carbs. Then you have huckleberries, which has a lot of vitamins, which, as you can see, camas does not. So you can get some huckleberries, and it has a little bit of carbs. So now you're probably pretty loaded on carbs and fat and vitamins. So now you need something that's high in protein, which you're probably not going to get from any particular vegetable which you can harvest. Let's see. Let's just kind of poke around. It's been a while. Ooh, the prickly pears are pretty balanced. 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 4. So that's a pretty balanced one as well. You could probably throw this one together with maybe prickly pears and camas. Might be a good option. Let's see if we have anything. Ooh, protein. There you go. Mushrooms. Okay, so we have mushrooms, we have the camas bulbs, and we have prickly pears. So you'll just be picking whatever's around. That's the reality of it for a while. It'll take until you get to the next level to start to be able to balance. The more balanced your nutrition is, the faster the XP you get. So it also will tell you when you hover over it what your craving is, which is kind of neat. And as you eat things, you will find out that you have preferences. So every character randomly has preferences for different foods. So as you level up, you can taste them, and right over there underneath the 4 different groups, it says you find this food tastes okay. You have not eaten this food lately, all right? This one says you find this tastes bad. You find this tastes okay. You find this tastes bad. You find this tastes okay. So basically, as you go through, you will find your character's own preference. As the cook, it means that you can cater to your character. This character that I have apparently is a vegetarian because she does not like many of the meat stuff. Like this one, she's okay with the meaty stew, but there's rarely any of the meat things that she likes. All right, so that's the basics of food. Just like anything else in this game, as you go up tiers, it's better. So when you're eating just raw camas bulbs, you're going to have to eat a lot more of them to fill up your calories. And then you would if you even just made campfire camas. So let's look at campfire camas. So if we were to roast the camas, now you see it actually has all 4 of the nutrient types versus the raw one. So now you have 6 fats, 3 proteins, 2 carbs, and 1 vitamin. So taking it up, it already increases it. Let's grab, as a example, let's grab a couple camas bulbs. We're gonna take these with us. Oh, I'm so used to just shift dragging everything into my inventory. We don't need all the camas bulbs. So let's cook one of these camas bulbs. One of the things that's going to be really key as you're setting up your campfire is to start to get some chests. I put these here specifically so that we can talk about a little bit of inventory management with cooking. This is going to be very key. You're going to be getting a lot of different ingredients. It is one of the most sort of ingredient, individual item heavy part of the game, because you'll have hundreds of different crops and different things, and it's going to take up a lot of space because you only have the individual slots for each unique item. So you're going to want both a place for things to come out of and a place for things to go into. So let's call this the input, and let's call this one the output. Okay. So we've got input. Oh, I didn't press enter. We've got input and output. Okay. So I'm going to put the Camas bulbs into the input, which would be where we're storing it from. And then once the storage stuff happens, let's find output in here. Of course, this is connecting into all of our various different sort of things around here. Let's drag that up to the top. Now where's output? There's output. Okay, there we go. So we want output to be on the top. That's where all of your items are going to go. We're going to put literally clicking the output button, which is the one to the right. If you do not have any inventories clicked here, what will happen? Let's just put this back in our inventory for a second. What will happen when this, and this happens a lot when you're newer to the game or you're setting something up, it's early days, you will see, okay, it's cooking, it's cooking, it's cooking, and it gets to the end and you're looking through your chests and there's nothing here. Well, that's because there's no linked inventories. So again, this is a little bit tangential to the actual cooking, but cooking ends up really being about inventory management. So what you'll see, this happens on all of the workbenches, which is this bar will be green. It has a little button that says collect here. So if you do not have any storage, any chests, any stockpiles, any campsite, then you'll have to collect it. Otherwise, make sure your output is selected. So make sure that output's selected. And then I'm going to select the input. You don't have to make, input output. I find it really helpful as I scale up to at least have one output box. I have all of our finished sort of recipes going into the same box. That way I know what's where and how much of what I have. Obviously, this is a lot of foods right now, but I just find that really helpful. I find it helpful to have all of that in one box. You don't have to do that though. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about storage, you'll be putting your different items in the input. They'll be coming out the output. So just looking at the difference between raw food, which is tier 0, and charred camas. You can already see this is 350 calories. This is only 150 calories. So from an eco standpoint, from a sustainable standpoint, you really need to level up your cooking so that you're not utilizing these resources heavily. We've definitely had servers where people just tried to eat everything raw. It doesn't go well. So let's talk first few recipes that you're likely to be doing. Now, cooking the crop by itself is fine. I don't end up doing that a lot because you really want to get into the recipes themselves. These are 900 calories. So fern salad is 900 calories. That's much more bang for your buck than 350. So as much as possible, you want to start getting into these quickly. You do start out with the charred fish. You do start out with fish, which is great. That gives you a bunch of protein. If you have access to someone that's fishing, or if you fish, great way to go. Charred fish right off the bat. And then you're going to want to go for the stews and salads. These are all based on where you're located or where the person that's farming on your server is located. If you happen to be where there's a lot of corn and tomatoes, you're going to be solid. Now, this is a little bit more of a complex. This isn't really a great recipe to look at because this needs flour and tallow. let's look at the fern campfire salad. This is one of your first salads you're going to be making, fern campfire salad. So getting the fern fronds, getting the huckleberries, which are regatherable, and getting any type of vegetable. This could be corn, it could be beets, it could be beans. So this is hands down one of your earliest recipes, fern campfire salad. Then you're also probably going to be making beet salad. Where's the beet? We have beet stew, I think. No, beet salad as well, which is great. So beet salad, campfire. So these are your two things. If you can get up to campfire roast, I think that's one of your last ones you get up to. This is really good through the long game. Generally, because of the food preference system, you're not going to be worrying about it too much at this level. You're just going to see what you have access to, what you can sort of make. And what I would do is I'd look through here on the right hand side and see where you have green. When you have gray, that means there's no access to that ingredient. When you have green, that means you have, well, when these numbers here, these zeros have ones. So without the red, without the red, the white means there's multiple items that can fit the bill. Sorry, my bad. This is multiple items can fit the bill. So you can have tallow, you can have oil, you can have flaxseed oil. All of those items will go there. These are any sort of greens, agave leaves, beet greens, fiddleheads, fireweed shoots. So these red zeros mean we don't have access to that. I would go through here and look for ones where you have both ingredients. It's white across the bottom, and craft as many as you can. All right. That's how I would start. So in this case, we have the camas bulbs, and we would just go, I'm watching this little number here, and I'm going to get that until it balances with this, and literally go until it gets to the red. And then we're going to count that as, all right, that's where we're going to be. Then you process it through, you start cooking. So that's campfire cooking. Campfire cooking is really easy. It's really easy to get going on. Do it day one. If you're thinking of doing cooking on your server, day one, go for it. Apologies. My avatar is just tweaking out right now because I don't have my main camera light source on. The in-game avatar is a little wonky. So that's tier 1. That's campfire cooking. Now the next level is going to be a little ways, but this is your cast iron stove. Now this still just takes oh no, this takes actual cooking, so you have to research cooking itself before you can do this one. I am still making these rainforest salads, and see, this is kind of what I'm talking about. You have all the ingredients for this one. This one, you see those red zeros, red 0. I have everything but that. So you can go through and you can really go, okay, we can make some taro fries here, which are of course very, very fatty, one would assume. Yeah, 20 fat, 10 carbs, and 2 protein. So, very, very fatty, very good for that. And then that ends up going into, later on, you get the kitchen, which is a lot further in. And you can make things like fish and chips, which is very cute. Fish and chips. And that's 20 carbs, 20 fat, 10 protein. So you're starting to see the pattern. There are certain foods that are balanced in one way, certain foods that are balanced in others. And then they threw a whole wrench in everything because basically people were only making like 3 recipes in the game. They threw the food preferences in there to sort of balance that aspect out. So you're going to be on the campfire stove for a decent amount of time. And most servers, you may not even get above this level for a decent length of time. This takes a long time to research. This level of food is very efficient for how much you're getting, how much is going out. I really like, the reason I like the rainforest fruit salad is these are both renewable resources. These are both things that you plant once and you can keep picking them. And I think that's a really beneficial thing. That's a really beneficial recipe versus, all of the mushrooms have to be replanted every time you pick them. All of these have to, pretty much everything else has to be repicked. So it's like, okay, well, that's good. So you're going to want a fruit salad, which is high in vitamins, high in carbs. You may want a basic salad, which is high in carbs, a little lower in vitamins, and then you're most likely going to be running into the simmered meat, which is balanced towards the protein and fats. So simmered meat and some sort of salad, those two together work really, really well. But you're going to find out what for your character's taste buds work, and your friends and citizens will be doing the same. So you're going to be getting a certain level of interaction between people on that. So that's the next level up, which is cooking. So cooking then, and this is again tech wise, you have to level up. This goes into, I believe, this is a 1.8. So you're not going to be able to get this working until you have brick and glass and lumber to some extent. And then once you get a little bit higher up to that, this is also 1.8. Interesting. So then with the kitchen does require power, I think. No, it doesn't. It just requires the higher level cooking experience, which is the advanced cooking. So then you have to research more to get the advanced cooking. And then finally, once you have access to power, you can utilize your advanced cooking knowledge on the stove. And this is end game. This is your end game things like elk tacos, which are, 22 fat, 15 carbs. We've got the Bear Supreme, which used to be end game everything. So you've got all of these very end game recipes. A lot of these take other recipes and combine them. So the wild mix goes into the elk tacos, which is, tortillas and scraps of meat. The tortillas are created over here from cornmeal, and the wild mix is created from a basic salad and some huckleberry extract. So you are creating a salad on your stove. That salad goes into here. It gets combined with some things. You make a tortilla over here as well. And then all of that combines over here. So this is your end game sort of cooking setup. Not exactly this room, but those 3 cooking stations. And I end up liking having multiple campfires or multiple stoves because it gives you the ability to sort of process things through, because you can only queue up 5 different recipes at a time. Usually I try and pre-queue these up, have access to a store. So this is the other piece, which I think as the cook, this will get people off your back a little bit. Set up your store right off the bat with in and out. This is your input. You'll have it linked in. You can have your input literally on the top of your store's inventory. People sell you the ingredients you need. You price it so that the output is that price plus a little bit of labor. There's some calculators out there on how to do this. Then that will process through. If you have those recipes queued up upstairs or right next door or out in the wild, because as you can see, your campfire could be out in the wild. If you have all those recipes queued, the minute someone puts it in, it starts cooking. So it's kind of automation-ish. And the more you can do that, the more you'll save yourself a headache, because everybody is going to be pestering you for food. Everybody needs it. Everybody goes through it really, really quickly. So the faster you can get sort of built up, the better. If you have any questions about different recipes or any challenges you've run into, there are a lot of kind of tangential professions. The biggest one I always recommend if you're going to get into cooking, I highly, highly, highly recommend taking on milling. Milling is probably a little bit more useful for baking, but at the same time, having access to a lot of these different things like oils and the huckleberry extract, and it just starts to become really, really, really crucial. So become friends with your miller, and even if you don't take it on yourself, just know this is something you're going to need to do. So obviously our next lead in, we will be creating one about baking, which yes, it is cooking, but oftentimes it's broken into a separate sort of thing. And it's a lot better if one person takes baking, one person takes cooking, because then you've split the sort of pressure and people can specialize a little bit more into one or the other. And you have your cook, you have your baker, and maybe you have your campfire cook. So you don't have to do everything in-house. You can just pick one, and that can be your specialty. People are always going to need the campfire cooking, even at the end of the game. Just cheap, easy calories to plow through. You end up being the McDonald's of your eco server. But we'll do one entirely on baking. Hopefully this helps. If it does, leave us a little thumbs up or emoji in the comments. And we look forward to diving into the next subject next time.